Turn Up the Talk would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land this podcast is recorded on, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We acknowledge their connection to lands, waters, and community. We honour and recognise the wisdom, compassion, strength, and resilience of elders and the stories they share with us, in hope for greater understanding and care for the lived experiences of First Nations community in Australia country.
Turn Up the Talk podcast, tackling mental health together.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Turn Up the Talk, joined by Paddy and Lockie. Lock, what's doing? What's going on?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I was at your work today, Waverley.
Yep.
Doing a
College of Knowledge?
College of Knowledge, few talks to the junior school on leadership, which was good. Most of them well behaved.
Most of them.
I'll tell you what, I don't know how you're a teacher.
Yeah, I do like to ask myself that from time to time. But it is good fun.
It is
it's
good.
all in good fun.
It was really good. It's just like, as everyone was in school, I guess, when someone comes in to talk, you just kind of... It's your chance. It's not a teacher, you know what I mean? You want to kind of fuck around. So,
yeah.
But for the most part, it was good. It was good to go back there and have a chat. But
they're always a pretty good bunch of boys. Like,
yeah.
There's a few, they're mostly good for a laugh or two, but once you pull them into line, they're pretty good.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to today's chat. But before we get into that, I went to the Chloe. What night was it? Wednesday.
We were there 2 weeks ago as well for our trivia.
Yeah, the trivia night. That was the night. That was Palmy night.
Yeah,
yeah. So,
$15 Palmy. They smash them out. So I think we ordered, and about 5-10 minutes later it came out. So they've got it down there. Go see Megs. Get a drink voucher if you're lucky, and $15 Palmies on Wednesday night. Trivia was a success.
Yeah, trivia was good. Few hard questions in there. Mr. Will Gibb, the trivia master, actually wrote most of the questions. So. There were a few hard ones in there.
There was, and we actually got a complaint from a group as well about the counting.
Did we?
So sorry to that group, but you still lost even with a recount.
Who was that?
That's good.
I
won't
got
name
my money
names,
on who
but
I know.
yeah, it's just a bit weird, but it's all
It
good.
is what it
it's just
is.
for mental health.
Anyway, typical. Alrighty, welcome, Mr. Nathan.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm super stoked to be here.
Yeah, how you going? What's been going on?
Mate, I'm doing all right. I had a sick day today, like I was telling you before. Went out to Moore Park and hit a few golf balls, which was spontaneous and awesome. Actually super interesting. There are way too many people out here that drive Porsches.
Oh, mate,
Bro,
welcome to
especially
the
the golf
Eastern
club.
suburbs.
Ridiculous. And personalised number plates. What
it's a
is
thing.
that?
That's
It's
a
a
thing.
thing. It's a big
Nah.
thing.
Yeah.
I'd rather spend money on a surfboard.
How much are they?
Surfboards?
No, the plates, they're pretty expensive, hey?
It's
Personalised
like a
plates,
subscription.
Yeah,
You
gotta
pay every
yearly.
year.
It's not a one-off.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
It's like you pay
Some you say are
Upfront
funny.
fee.
Some you say are funny.
you know that that leg opener one. Did you see that? So he's like this leading barrister, and like he had a Lamborghini or something, and he's put his number plate LGPONER or something, like leg opener, because of his car, and everyone blew up because everyone just blew up because of he wanted to, like, everyone was like, oh, you can't do that, it's not right, blah blah. So he changed it to like XXXL ego or something, like extra large ego. But he actually came in and wanted to do a podcast here. We had a chat to him, mate. He's got some stories
As a barrister.
would.
Oh,
If you got the
mate.
balls to put that on your car, you've got to have some stories.
He has some fucking stories.
So that's something like, how long you got to do uni for that?
Oh, fuck if I
6
know.
or 7 years.
What,
Right? My
law?
sister's a lawyer.
Yeah,
6 or
law's
7 years,
ridiculous.
but it'd be one of those, when you get there,
Yeah.
I reckon it'd be pretty fun. It'd be a lot of work, but
It'd
you'd
be heaps
meet
of work.
some
I wanted
amazing-
to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Did ya?
When I was going through school. It was like the thing that I wanted to do from year 7 to 10.
What
Yeah, wow.
stopped it?
My dad took me to his lawyer's office and, bro, just books on books.
So your old
on
man's a lawyer,
books.
obviously, then?
Nah, my dad's not. He was just going through a court case with coaching.
Right. Okay.
And, so sport lawyer. Oh my God. When I walked out of there, dude, never
Very
again
full
did I
on,
want to
dude.
see that office again.
Love my sister, but very full on.
Yeah, it's
Like,
just nothing.
it's
You just
a
got to love reading. And I don't.
I don't love reading. No, I don't like writing either.
I just found it. I also went to my sister's in Brisbane, and I just found it very confined, very threatening environment. It was just like, okay.
There's just like this, I don't know, when I hear lawyer, you know what I mean? Just kind of like, it's like when a cop pulls up next to you and you know you're doing nothing wrong, but you still
get a little
fucking sketch
nervous.
out. You put 2 hands on the wheel and you look where your phone is. You know you're doing nothing wrong, even though I have no side mirror.
Well, bro, Suits is like my favorite show on the
Oh,
planet.
so
I wish
good.
it was,
Never
if it was
seen
like
that.
that, I'd go into it.
Never seen it.
You've never seen Suits?
Unreal.
You've never been blessed by Harvey Specter.
Nah, can't say I
Dude.
have.
No, it's good, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't
Number
know.
one. I've just started Animal Kingdom.
Oh, that is so
I haven't seen that.
good,
Oh,
mate. You got to watch that.
So,
What's it on?
Netflix.
Oh,
Stranger
And there's
Things.
heaps of stories too.
Yeah, I
Nah,
just finished
dog
Stranger
shit.
Things.
Stranger Things shit. I don't like sci-fi.
It's a bit too
Yeah.
distant.
I like the realistic.
Into the Night Garden.
Anyway, let's get into it, mate. So you run your own podcast, but it's kind of more than a podcast. I know you do vlogs and everything like that. Just tell us about the concept. Tell us what it's about. Tell us why you started it. Just give us the whole rundown.
I mean, the story sort of changes every time I talk about it because it's just continually evolving into new things. But pretty much beginning of last year, I started this thing called Uncle Nathan, which essentially was built as sort of like a mentor platform for young people. When I was going through school, I found high school to be quite easy, and I thought that was because I worked really hard. But then after I finished, I went back to high school as a learning support officer, and I realized that some people work just as hard, if not harder than I did, and it just doesn't click. So I sort of I felt responsible in a way. I wanted to bridge that gap a bit. Started Uncle Nathan as a blog to teach people how to sort of, what would you call it? I guess hack the system of high school. Like, what are they looking for? How to get through high school with good marks without having to work your life away. So that's where it started. And since then, it's grown into this overarching mentorship platform where it's pretty much just all about sharing my learnings, my mistakes as an adult now in the real world, just so other young people can follow along and learn a bit as well. So they don't feel so isolated. That was the biggest thing that I realized after school is it felt like I was the only one going through it. But realistically, everyone's having similar experiences. And I think if I can share that and put that out into the world, it might help someone understand what they're going through a little bit better.
Every sort of successful brand has a lot of interaction with its followers, so I imagine you would. What are the themes that come out? What are the themes that come out from kids or anyone who sort of messages you, reaches out?
Dude, the biggest thing for me is like mental health. Obviously, you guys talk a lot about mental health. It's massive. Everyone's thinking about it. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone realizes that it's something that should be spoken about now, which I think is really cool because it's always something that I've taken an interest to. The other big thing is, like I said before, it's just relatability. Like being able to be in pain or be in a shit situation and have someone else say, hey, I've been there and I got through it and you will too, is massive for someone who's never experienced that before. And I feel like growing up, you don't even always have your parents. Some people are really lucky to have their parents there as a support network, but other people aren't so lucky and it can be so isolating. So I think when I have people reach out off the back of a podcast or the back of an Instagram post or a blog post, they're talking about, hey, thanks for being honest and open and sharing that you're going through it as well.
Well, I think one of the things, and obviously I said before to you, I was a teacher, one of the things that I sometimes struggle with is the concept of school and that we prepare them for these sort of minute tasks and then they get a HSC and then they leave. It's like, okay, well, what are they actually when they leave? Okay, well, they get a mark, okay, yeah, go do teaching, or you get a mark, go do physio, but it's like, what else have you done? So with this sort of mentorship, what are the aims of it? What do you want to sort of provide people with?
Yeah, it's such a good point. Like, people finish school without any idea of who they actually are. I guess they're made to feel a certain way based on the marks they're getting and based on how well they do in certain subjects. And then from there, it's like, oh, I'm good at math, so I should do something with numbers. I guess the point of Uncle Nathan 100%. And what I try and preach is like this whole idea of figuring out who you are on a deeper level. Like, what are your passions? What are your interests? What do you do to bring in money that you really enjoy doing? And sort of from that, you can start to build this bigger concept, not necessarily of what you have to do, but of what makes you happy and what brings you joy. And then from there, it's just about going out into the world and finding that and seeking that in every opportunity that comes your way.
I think it's good now. So like I said, I went in today to Waverley, the old school. We were speaking about leadership, but obviously, the podcast and everything like that came up and we were speaking about mental health a little bit. These kids are in year 5, year 6, and a lot of them knew what it was.
That's pretty
in
cool,
year 5 and 6, I would have had no idea. No idea. They were talking about anxiety. And obviously it's a more watered down version as it should be. But, I was going in there preparing to kind of, with a simplified version of it. And then one of the teachers said, we actually did study that this whole week at school. And I was like, wow. Like that, I think that's a really good thing because, again, in school, like you said, you got if you're good at maths, you should do maths and stuff. I feel like there's a massive gap in the education system into just everyday things, just stuff you should be learning every day.
Like the education system was made to churn out employees.
Yeah,
Like
literally.
that's what it was made to do. It was
Yeah.
made to churn out factory workers, and that's not what the world is anymore.
Yeah.
You need to have such a deeper understanding of who you are on an emotional level in order to and I don't know, I guess people figure it out through experience. Like, of course you figure it out through experience and you'll get there eventually. But the way that I see it is like, if we can start teaching those things early days at school, then you're much better prepared when you do hit the real world.
100%. And so do you try to work with schools and stuff like that? Have you gone into schools? What's the go?
Yeah, it's been interesting. Like I said, it's been 18 months now since I started it. The first year I was set on getting into schools, talking to groups of kids at school.
Hello, COVID.
Yeah, I know. Well, that happened. Plus, I was working at my old school as well, so I got a bit of exposure to it. But like we were talking about before the podcast, it's always been a crossroads for me of, do I want to turn this into a business per se, or do I want to just keep producing content in my spare time?
Yeah.
And it's something that I've been tossing up with and still don't have a definitive answer yet. So I've done work here and there with different schools. We have like a local council thing, KLOF, which is like a youth group sort of thing.
Yeah.
I've done events with them, speaking events. I focus a lot on money skills, like financial stuff, financial education. So I've done a lot of that, bringing to young people as well. But what I've realized is, as impactful as it is to go to schools, and as much as that would turn Uncle Nathan into a business because schools pay you to talk, it's also like, I feel like I can reach way more people through social media with less effort.
Yeah.
So like, why wouldn't I do that? So it's been a trade-off, and I'm still not 100% sure of which way I want to take it, but I've been exploring all options.
It's funny. I'll jump in. So funny. Like, yeah, we learn how to calculate an area of a pyramid, but we don't learn how to like invest in shares or save properly.
Yeah. This is everything that I talk about.
But we learn what a rhombus.
Pythagoras theorem.
It's just, but I understand it to a degree because they need something that's measurable, right? But it's like there is such a field for kids to learn that stuff, even being mindful in years 10, 11, 12, shares, investing, saving,
Taxes.
like how to save properly.
Yeah.
Like that's a massive one that I reckon a majority of the people we know wouldn't know how to do.
Yeah. I think the counter argument is, though, like I've had people say this to me, it's the job for the parents. But the whole point of school is to teach you things that your parents can't teach you.
Yeah.
And not everyone's parents are good with money.
Yeah,
so
exactly right.
In my eyes, like, it should be a thing that school teaches.
Well, but if it's a job of parents and the parents aren't good at saving, then what is there to do? They obviously cannot teach you a positive
Teach you
way
what not to do.
Yeah, but if they're...
That's the best when you don't have a lesson planned and you do something and the kids say, what are we doing? You go, don't do this.
Yeah, but they obviously don't know the answers, and then obviously they'll try to teach them, and hopefully not, but the kid will end up doing what their parents did, and then it just gets passed down and down because you don't have that proper education. It's just like anything, but it's just like, well, why can't my dad teach me maths? You know, well, my dad was great at maths, but why can't my mum teach me? Because she wasn't very good at it.
Yeah.
So you can't expect them to teach it. Well, what's the difference between that and what we're just talking about?
For sure.
Was that a rhetorical question?
Yeah, it was. It was a rhetorical question.
Bro, but the power of social media now is that even if school doesn't, social media can.
Yeah.
And we got to teach people how to curate their feeds so that it's productive, not depressing.
Yeah. Fuck, there's some unproductive things online as well. But
Well, that's what I was just about to say. That is such a hard line.
you get stuck in the TikTok loop.
It's such a powerful thing, but it's also like, I did talking about body image today.
Yeah.
Just like
massive.
you go on Instafeed for 30 minutes and your body image is wrecked.
Yeah.
Your like perception of yourself is fucked. But then you can go on and listen to some inspiring people. I follow Joe Dispenza.
Or heard the name.
Yeah, Joe Dispenza is just like this wicked scientist, psychologist, and he just always uploads. He uploads the most scientific stuff, but in the caption he puts it in like layman's terms, and it'd be like the brain and the neurons in the post, and then in the caption he actually talks about it, and it's like far out.
What was it on Instagram or something?
Yeah, Joe Dispenza.
Joe Dispenza.
Don't get him up.
Yeah, we'll put it on the screen.
We'll put it- oh.
Joe, put him up. Dispenza.
Yep, doctor.
Wow, 2.2 mil. If 95% of who we are is set of an unconscious programs, the first step to changing is becoming conscious of those programs.
When that hit you.
Fuck, so
Imagine being 15 and reading that at home.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't know what it means,
Yeah.
But he
But
explains it
the
in
problem
caption.
is 15-year-olds aren't following him.
but
Yeah.
That's the trouble.
because he's not cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly
how
right.
do we bridge that gap?
Well, how do we? How do we bridge that gap?
This,
Yeah.
where like TikTok forces content onto people.
Yeah.
If you produce content that other people like, it'll force that content onto people that don't even know they want that content.
Yeah.
It's like if we keep producing this stuff, it'll get out there.
All right. So what about this? I don't know if you have the answer. I'm just springing this on you. There's a kid listening to this, right, who wants that kind of content, but whenever they go on TikTok, it's Jason Derulo singing. Is there search stuff? Like, is it because it is what you search at? If like our Turn Up the Talk TikTok page, if you scroll through that For You page for 5 minutes, you'll end up in tears. It is the saddest stuff you've ever seen because our stuff's about mental health, right? Yeah. So how is it about what you search? Is it hashtags?
But I got the perfect story for this.
Yeah, let's go.
So I have now been going through a breakup for the last like month, which I also went through the same breakup at the end of last year.
Yeah.
And TikTok has been really interesting through this period. I've never been broken like I have been during that period and this period. And what I learned from the last period, so I spent much longer last time feeling sorry for myself, wondering how to get out of the rut, not sure what to do. This time around, I have used TikTok to my advantage because what I did was curate the feed so that it would teach me what not to do when I'm feeling like shit. So
Yeah,
for
okay.
example, to answer your question, like I'm sitting there feeling horrible or I've scrolled on Instagram and seen a photo of my ex having fun or whatever and it puts me in this downhill spiral. I go onto TikTok and I literally look up self-esteem tips, self-confidence,
right.
self-love, how to get through a breakup, like as shamelessly putting it out there. People will think what they want to think. I search that up on TikTok and for the next week, that's what's on my feed.
Yeah. Okay.
And then naturally it progresses out as you stop engaging with those videos as much. But like for me, it's been pretty instrumental in shifting the way that I think and also listening to podcasts and all of that. But there's definitely a way to shift that feed to favor yourself.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that too. One that's very annoying. So, you know that Andrew Tate bloke?
Fuck that guy.
I can't fucking stand him. But sometimes I'll sit and watch his video. Like, it'll pop up on my news. And sometimes I'll watch it just to like... You ever watch it just to cringe at people? Or you just watch a video to be like, fuck, what a Derek. So I'll watch the whole video and then I'll kind of go through the comments to like, I wonder who's agreeing with me. But then they must think that I enjoy the videos. Then this motherfucker pops up my feed and I went narc mode the other night on our account. I started commenting on his shit. Because there was ones like, he said one like, he was talking about, who's the actor who took his own life? He was Mrs. Doubtfire, Robin Williams. So you know why Robin Williams is upset? Because he went to a therapist. He goes, if you feel like you have to speak to someone to get through a tough time, you're useless. This is what he said. And I just got on there and I went, you fucking kidding, blah, blah, blah. You're the reason, fucking yada, yada. And I just went on a rampage.
You reply?
No, of course I didn't reply. It was probably someone else. People just rip off.
Do
videos
you know his
post it.
business model? It's
No.
pretty interesting.
No, I don't know a lot about him, to be honest. He's a kickboxer, isn't he?
Yeah, the guy's an absolute idiot, but he's also a genius.
He puts it on.
Oh, he's smart at what he does.
Don't
Don't get me wrong.
What he's done is he's built this online course, Hustler Community or whatever it's fucking called, and he basically has set up an affiliate link so that if you get someone else to sign up to his course, you get paid cash. And on the website, he's got a whole page dedicated to how you can get people to sign up. And on that page, it says, make a TikTok account that is based on me, that impersonates me, and post my videos linking to the Hustler Community.
And you'll get money from that
Yeah.
if you...
So that's why he's everywhere, because there's hundreds of people trying to make money off his courses, which is genius in terms of virality. But the problem is, like, the three of us will look at his videos and laugh at how absurd it is.
Yeah.
But young guys, 15, 16,
No,
who
they
have
love
had
him.
no
Yeah,
guidance
they love
will
him.
listen and be like, oh yeah, that sounds real. Like, that makes sense. Maybe we should trash women. And I'm just like, something has to be done. And it's been
Yeah.
popping off a bit the last couple of days, which is good because
Yeah.
people are starting to clue onto it. But something like, you need big intervention from TikTok, Instagram,
Yeah.
from the platforms themselves to stop this shit.
What's your go-to if someone was to message you and say that they're struggling? What do you reply back?
It's always a tough one because I think there are. So early days with Uncle Nathan, I always reply. I always reply straight away. But early days, I learned a lesson because I replied to someone who was really unstable. And long story short, it ended up taking a toll on me. because they became dependent on me replying and trying to help them through this situation. And like, of course, when dealing with young people, with dealing with anyone, I'm always going to be there, but you have to set boundaries for yourself, because by the end of it, I was drained. Like I was smashed because I felt responsible for this guy's well-being. And that was really tough, because as much as I tried to encourage him to seek help and took every step that I thought I could to help him, as much as I did that, he wasn't willing to get help for himself. And that felt like I let him down. Like it became my responsibility. So I guess to bring it back to the question, it's like, I always reply. I always listen to the story. I always listen to what's going on and try and be there. But I also have to set my own boundaries and be like, at the end of the day, I can only provide so much assistance and so much guidance for them to help themselves. And if they're not going to do anything, all I can do is either try and figure out the parents, like try and bring it to someone who is in their life, because I'm not, and go from there. Because it's a grey line.
It's such an interesting thing. I was just thinking about it before when we were talking about like feeds. Like our brain just craves negative thoughts, negative emotion. So someone in that position, okay, they'll reach out, but it's like they're looking for it, like I don't know if you can say they're looking for it, but it's like they're just constantly craving that negative energy. And I think that's a really hard thing to understand at any age. It's
a real like psychological thing. So humans are more comfortable with familiar pain than unfamiliar pain. So 100%. Like, and the only reason I know any of this shit is because of all the work I've been doing through this breakup to try and get my head back into a good spot. But it's like you'll seek negative thoughts that reinforce the experience you're going through, because you know what that pain feels like. So for instance, with a breakup, like you'll always think about the good memories you had, and you'll look at that relationship through those rose-colored glasses, as much as it hurts, because you know what that pain feels like. And that's less scary than moving on and dealing with pain that you haven't felt before, or the unknown, the uncertainty. So like people are always going to reach out saying, I've got this issue, I've got this issue, I've got this issue, with no intention of helping themselves, because they're just going to keep reliving that pain because it's familiar. I don't know. I found it super interesting learning about all this stuff.
So what are some other things you've learned? Obviously going through a breakup is such a normal thing, right? And it sucks, and a lot of people don't talk about it. You know what I mean? It can be a bit of a... People can deem it as embarrassing. People can deem it as, we shouldn't really talk about that as a breakup. What the fuck? Everyone goes through it. You know what I mean? Of course, everyone goes through it. What are some things you've learned, and what are some things you're going through? Sounds like you're still probably not over it by the sounds of things.
Definitely not, dude. I was tossing up coming here whether or not I talk about it or not. And to be honest, I don't even know if I'm ready to talk about it yet. But
whatever you're comfortable with sharing.
This is it would be hypocritical of me to preach all this stuff about Uncle Nathan and about sharing my learnings and failures and mistakes. And
but I think there's a time where you can promote that, but there's time where you need your personal, and it's just you. So if there's anything that's off boundaries, you just step in. But just more on the side of how you've got to where you are now in regards to how you've been coping. You said you've been looking up videos and things like that. What are some strategies and things you've put into place?
Yeah, like you said, the biggest thing with any heartbreak, whether it is like a breakup or loss, like someone dying in your life, it's a very similar sort of pain and heartbreak. And that feeling of loss is like really unfamiliar the first time you go through it. So just acknowledging the fact that it is actually something that most people, everyone goes through at some point, has given me a lot of closure. And it makes it less scary to reach out to people. So like my parents, the first time I was going through it, I didn't know what to say to people. I didn't really know what to do, what to say, what to feel. And like I internalized a lot of my thoughts and feelings, which just led me to basically spiral. Whenever I had a negative thought, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Whereas this time around, it's like, I know that other people have gone through this. So I'm much more inclined, if I'm feeling like shit, to bring in some sort of circuit breaker, whether that's talking to my mum, who's going to make the situation seem more realistic for me and give me a bit of perspective, which always helps break the circuit. Whether it's chatting to a friend who's like, yeah, I've been in the same situation. This is what I did. Just things like that have really helped me. Something that's been massive for me is podcasts. Podcasts specifically on dealing with heartbreak. And then once you get over that, it's podcasts specifically on building your self-confidence, self-esteem back up. Because like for me, as someone who has always been relatively ego-driven in a sense, like a heartbreak was rejection, and that's really hard to deal with. And that is essentially, at first, was me thinking, oh, I'm not good enough.
So many questions in your mind.
Yeah. And that's a really tough mental pattern to break. So listening to podcasts about building that self-esteem back up, building back that that independence has been massive in getting me out of that headspace. So now it's become, rather than feeling really bad all the time, it's now I feel good, and then I have moments that suck. And in those moments, I'm like, this sucks. And I feel that pain. I don't try and avoid it or distract myself, but it's like, acknowledge it and then implement some sort of healthy circuit breaker. So like, I'll feel like shit. All right, I'm going to go hit a few balls at the driving range, or I'm going to go for a surf, or I'm going to chuck a podcast on. Exercise is a big one. But yeah, it's just trying to deal with it in a healthy way without avoiding the pain.
Sitting with it and acknowledging that it's there. Yeah, that's something
feel
that
to heal.
Yeah, exactly right. That's something we spoke about, and something that I used to do a lot was push it away. As soon as I'd get a fear, especially with anxiety, so I have severe anxiety, but when it first came on, it was just like, what the fuck is this, right? And whenever it would come, I'd be like, nah, fuck that. I'd be doing everything to push it away, right? I'd be like, nah, I'm not feeling this. And I slowly learned to just sit there and literally just feel it. And then the next time it comes, you know that it's there, and there's just that little bit less. And it's not less, but you're a tiny bit more comfortable with it because you've sat with it and you've actually gone through the process instead of just pushing everything away. And that's something we speak about and saying, and that's something that I learned through therapy. Like I think it's cognitive therapy. I think that is, but literally feeling it where you might feel it in your toes. You might feel it. I get it in my stomach a lot, or in my head, and different people feel it in different places. So yeah,
I think just rationalizing it as well within yourself, like rationalizing your thought process, that helps me. And then I'd normally find, like, if it's something that I'm dealing with, if I rationalize it, try and first like get rid of all my distractions, actually think about it for 5-10 minutes, that helps me then for the rest of the day, the next couple of days, because it's more like, okay, well, I've actually dealt with that, I can move on. And then if it comes back, take that time to actually talk myself through it again. Talking myself through it, that's what I learned. That's probably one of the biggest things that I've done.
That's a really good point, because oftentimes, like, I'm very similar. I get so anxious about social situations.
Yeah, heavy.
Yeah. Oftentimes it's completely irrational. So like now I have a checklist. So whenever I have a thought pop up, I'm like, okay, first, is this rational or irrational? And when it's irrational, just recognizing it instantly breaks a circuit. You're still going to have the thought there, but it's like, okay, now I know this is an irrational thought. What can I do to change my thought pattern? And then it's like, be present. Like, the biggest thing for me is meditation. Chuck on a guided meditation for 5 minutes. It'll snap you out of it. Or like, dude, stomp your feet on the ground. Like, splash some water in your face. Yeah. Bring yourself back to earth, because as soon as you hit that irrational thought, the first thing is like, for some reason, irrationality feels normal. So we're just going to keep going down this. It's another irrational thought, another one. So if you can just break that circuit, recognize that it's irrational, from there it should calm down a little bit.
Yeah, and ground yourself. And like you said, do things to kind of like stomp your feet. I like to like tap my arm. I'd normally do my leg, but just for the camera, I'd like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and I'll just count it and count it and count it.
It's a shit feeling, but I think a lot of people have it and go through that stuff, whether or not they recognize it or not.
Yeah, exactly right. Whether or not they recognize it or want to, definitely. With the people that reach out to you, about like mental, where they're struggling, is it a lot about that kind of thing where they've left school and they don't really know their purpose, their identity? Is that a big thing for it?
Yeah, that's massive, especially when it comes HSC time, like exam time. Around about that time last year, I got so many messages saying like, I'm just about to finish school and I have no idea what I want to do. I've got my uni preferences in, but I don't even know if I want to go to uni. If I do go to uni, I don't know if I'm going to like the course. Just like so many unknowns and so much uncertainty that really freaks people out. And school has never been a place of uncertainty. So we're not really taught how to deal with that idea. Like, school has always had a finish line. You know you're going to graduate at the end of year 12. And that is comforting in a sense, because it's certain. You might leave earlier, but the whole time you're going through school, you know you're going to finish at the end of year 12. And then when school's over, there's no more certain ends to the chapter. There's no, like, I guess uni kind of is, but then again, like, things change.
But it's all up to you as well.
It's you get to make the decisions.
Influence.
So no one knows how to deal with that as a young person. I'm still grasping that idea that I don't have a finish line and I don't know where I'm going. But it's, I guess, the thing that I try and bring people back to is like getting comfortable with that journey and that process, and understanding that you don't have to have it all figured out right now. You just got to do it as you go along.
As someone, that was probably my biggest struggle that I've had so far, was that 6 months after school. And you just feel like I just remember feeling nothing. Like I just felt nothing for so long. And I was just like, fuck, this is, and then you try and I got into work and stuff, but I just remember feeling nothing and being so worried and just like, where am I going? But it's like, probably it's such a good thing. I know people say, oh, gap years and stuff like that, but having some time off after school is the best thing you can do. Like a few months, I remember I went to uni straight after. I started psychology down at Wollongong.
How'd that go?
Walked in, walked out. No, I remember first lecture, they're like, all right, 7 years, you'll be a psychologist. Give the textbooks back. No, I tried it for 3 weeks and I literally hated every minute of it. And then I took the rest of the semester off because I'm just like, this is nuts. Like we get forced to go, we don't get forced, but it's sort of this social construct to go into school and then go and do something after. And it's like, you just want to tell kids, mate, just don't stress. Like, yeah, okay, work hard, but whatever, you're going to be fine. Like, there's ways into everything. And I remember that's probably my biggest struggle, is that feeling of probably loneliness and no self-worth after school and just being not in anything.
I feel like it's because you also lose a structure. You know, you're waking up at 7, you're at school by 8. You've got recess at 10, you come home, you do your homework, you do your sport, and you go to bed.
See your mates.
It's so... And that's what we spoke to Russell Manser, who spent 23 years of his life in jail. And he also was on the Spenyon podcast. And they were talking about how when they came out of jail, they felt the same because there was just no structure in their life. You know, like, sure, you're in jail, but you get waken up the same time, you get fed at X amount of time, you go out for your yard time for an hour, you get fed for lunch, then you go have your shower, then you go for dinner, and you're in your cell. And that's such a structure. And then when you're out, sure, you might be thinking, fuck, I've got all this freedom, but you don't have everything given to you like you did then. And obviously school and jail are completely different things, but you've got that structured setup there. And once you're done, you know what I mean? It's like, well, fuck, now what?
Yeah. I remember I won't say a year, I was doing a year, and it was time management was the page. It was one page. And then the next page was personal hygiene.
Yeah.
It's like, that is such a vital thing. Yeah. Being a good mate is such a vital thing. Understanding how your brain works is such a vital thing. But like we said before, it's just, I think it's very, like you mentioned, the school system was set up for one thing, and that's drastically changing now with all the health issues that we're having.
Do you think it'll move with it? Do you think schools will?
Yeah, it will have
up to it? It's got no choice.
It will have to, and it will just take people to. Like, look at Marky Mitchell. Like, we met, so Marky Mitchell runs A-Lab. We were going to him 5-6 years ago as a physio in an RSL in one room. He had 5 beds in one room. Now he's got 2 massive properties and businesses in the eastern suburbs looking at well-being, gyms. And it's like, he wants to go and change the curriculum. It's going to take people like that to go in and go, all right, this isn't working.
But I don't know what it is. It the people in charge or old-fashioned? I don't know.
It's just a big institution.
Just
like
cyclical.
It's so hard to make change in an institutionalized system like education. It's like one of the biggest institutions in the country, and it's something that I've tossed up with since starting Uncle Nathan. It's like, I'd love to get this stuff in schools, but what's the best way to do that? To me, it's about having a generation now that sees how important this stuff is.
Exactly right.
And that generation will end up running these institutions, and that's when the change can happen.
Because it can't just be like, it's great, like, don't get me wrong, like, you going to schools is great, we going to schools is great, but it's like, it's got to be part of the curriculum as such, you know what I mean? Like, sure, it's good to have us go in and talk, but it can't just be a one thing a year. Like, fuck, you think 100 year 10s are going to remember what we said in a year's time? They might take away 1 or 2 good things, which is great, but if they're getting it taught every day, you know, say we went into a school, right? We did an hour talk, you probably spend 10 minutes on depression, 10 minutes on anxiety, 10 minutes on all these different mental health illnesses. Imagine that was a whole term on depression and how you deal with it. And then the next term's on, and then, for example, you were doing things with on money and all these different, how to save a term. Imagine how fucking beneficial that would be.
Yeah.
I think the other thing as well is, like, Waverley's obviously, we're lucky in terms of we have a well-being. So I see students 15 minutes a day, same students every day, 10.
Sick.
Yeah, that is
Year
good.
7 to 10, year 7 to 12.
It's more than I had.
That's what I'm getting to.
absolutely,
So we've got that at one end, and then we've got state schools who just don't have the funding to do anything. It's like that's another big issue because they can bring in these changes, but you got to educate, like teachers. You got to educate.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah,
It'd be very
it's got to be
hard.
viable. Like there's so many reasons that stop it from happening, but I genuinely believe the best way to interrupt a system like the education system is to educate our generation so that by the time they're running these institutions, they'll understand how important this stuff is and implement it themselves.
Yeah.
Because it's like you think about the people that are running these institutions, old fat white men who have never believed in this stuff in their life.
Exactly
Like how
right,
are we going to change their mind? In my opinion, it's not about changing their mind. It's about phasing those people out and replacing them with people who we don't need to change their mind because they're already on the same wavelength.
Yeah, 100%, mate. That's what when we were speaking about with Mark the other night. We were talking. He was like, "What's your target market with what you want to do?" And obviously, we're kind of like when we first started, like, "Well, we want to help everyone." Like, fuck, obviously, everyone wants to help everyone. But again, why would 50-year-old Bob listen to 23-year-old Pat and 23-year-old Lockie? Yeah. You know, so. And I had that same thought. I was like, well, if we can teach the younger generation, then when they've got kids, that's what they're going to teach their kids. And all of a sudden, it just floods everyone. It doesn't flood everyone out, but, it floods that mentality and everything out of it. What about for yourself? So we're talking about that loss of identity and things like that. Did you struggle with that after school? Is that why this came about?
Yeah, massively.
Yeah.
Through school, I was always the kid who did really well academically, got all the awards at the end of the year, did really well with sport, always was in the winning teams, made every team, had heaps of friends, floated around friendship groups. Like I went through school thinking I'm the king. And then I got to the end of school, into the real world, realized I was on my own, did what I thought I wanted to do, realized I didn't actually like it that much, and then hit a rock because I was like, who am I? What am I doing? And that was like such a scary realization. And the other thing I had was the expectation that as soon as school was finished, I'd be at the top of the mountain, everything that I wanted. I'd have the car, I'd have the wife, I'd have the family, the house. Like for some reason in my head, I was like, school finishes and then I'm 30 with my life figured out. And then I realized, wait, there's a good 12 years before I hit 30 that I have to figure out first.
Yeah.
And it's a really scary thing to go through. It's exactly what I was talking about before, that uncertainty. And I guess the thing that's brought me comfort is talking to people and realizing that everyone else is going through the same thing and that it's not about what your friend's doing that you're not doing. It's just about what you're doing. Like removing that comparison has been the biggest comforter for me.
Yeah. So as in regards to you might be saying, well, my mate's finished his degree at uni, but I'm still in semester 2. You know what I mean? Is that what you kind of mean by that comparison?
For sure. It's like, yeah, exactly. My mate's finished. He's earning $100,000 a year working full time.
Yeah.
Almost engaged to his girlfriend of 5 years. And here I am going through a breakup, doing uni, not sure if I even like my degree.
Yeah.
And when you look at the two, it's like I fell into the trap of thinking I should be there. But realistically, the truth is I should be exactly where I am right now.
And the flip side to that is, I don't know if that mate is real or whatever, but just say, for example, he might be looking at you going, fuck, I kind of didn't really I'm not really even passionate about the course I did, but I just felt pressured to finish it. I wish I was doing what you're doing and I wish I was helping people. And you're thinking, no, I wish doing what he's doing. There's always the flip side of, there's always someone better.
You're always going to want
There's
what
always
you don't
someone
have.
bigger. Yeah, exactly right. You're always going to want what you can't have. Exactly. And you just got to love what you've got and be grateful for what you got for sure.
I've got
a menu log.
I've got a quote on that. Yeah, Uber Eats. I've got a quote for that.
Let's go.
Not Eddie Jones.
For it.
Fucking Eddie Jones.
Want to play some elevator music? Fuck, be dead.
The reason we so often fail to notice it is that we turn away from the current experience and try to replace it with a better one. We seek happiness in a future object or situation where it is, in fact, sitting quietly at the heart of all experience now.
Yeah, wow.
It's a bit inspirational.
That is.
The longing for happiness that characterizes most of our activities is only a longing to taste the happiness that is inherent and ever present in our true nature, and that is temporarily eclipsed by our rejection of the current situation.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So in layman's terms, I think, and feel happy to jump in, that we are happy in ourselves, but we don't accept it. and we look for something that we think will make us happy when in fact we are already happy. We just need to acknowledge it.
But then once you get to that place,
No.
there's something else that
Yeah.
you then want.
That's
you know,
what I
you're
mean.
always fucking chasing
So we
something.
actually, within ourselves, we are
Mm.
satisfied, but it's what we tell ourselves that we don't have, like we said, that makes us unsatisfied.
Have you
I'm
guys
not
seen this
satisfied.
new social media app, Be Real?
Yes. Yes.
See,
Yeah.
I love this app because off that point, I feel like the reason we don't acknowledge our happiness is because we have boring moments in life. We have dull moments where we're doing nothing exciting. And we're looking in those dull moments at our friends, say Instagram,
Europe.
and we're looking at that going, fuck, I wish I was doing that. That looks so fun. Why aren't I doing that? I'm not doing anything right now. The reason I love this app is because every day it goes off and you have to post a photo of what you're doing at that time.
So is it set every day or a random time? It
Every
just pops
day,
up?
random time.
Right. Okay.
But at least every 24 hours,
Yeah.
it goes off. And you're meant to post within 2 minutes. So you can't just like wait until you're doing something
Yeah, yeah,
exciting.
Like, like Snapchat, like you send it to people or you're actually posting?
No, so you literally like take a selfie, take a front back camera, and it posts to your friends. There's
Don't select
also a
the
discover
photos you've already
page.
done. This guy.
But it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Because it'll go off at like 10 o'clock at night and you're sitting in bed doing nothing
Yeah.
and you post that. And your friends are like, oh, that person who I thought lived this extraordinary life without doing something awesome every single minute of every single day is
Yeah,
just
that
doing
is
nothing
good.
like I'm doing.
What's the following situation though? Like, so, like, would randoms follow you, or is it just you can make it like close friends on Instagram?
Yeah,
or?
so it's actually a little sketchy, the location service. It's like pinpoint accurate location.
You turn it
which,
off?
You probably can if you turn it off.
Sus.
If you turn it off in settings.
What you do? I'd want to turn it off.
But it is
sus.
pretty gnarly because like you think about it, you post where you like when you take that photo, it pinpoints exactly where you are.
yeah,
And
right.
people could see exactly where you are. So I keep my friends list very like personal and close friends.
Well, it would only be good if you had your close friends.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you don't want
yeah.
people like. I understand the point that we're trying to get to, but it's like you only want to be real with like a certain amount of people. You don't want to be real with 100 people because that's
Yeah.
just fucking taking.
That's
the
probably
piss.
when it starts to get away from it because you know, oh, they don't
'cause then
know.
people are gonna
They
be
don't know me that
changed,
well.
yeah.
I kind of want to act like
Yeah.
I'm living that.
Be
good
real.
life,
I'm going
whereas
to
if it's a
download it.
friend-
Steph, my girlfriend was telling me about that. the
Yeah,
other
It's
day.
really good.
Yeah.
It's like I've probably got I think
Takes a place.
30 friends on it, and I can't imagine I'd get many more than that because that's
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
all I want. But then there's also a discover page, so you can see anyone in the
Do
world.
you know what that is?
For you.
It's like a for you.
Yeah.
Every day this guy goes, "What's for you on TikTok?"
I'm out of it, mate.
Sometimes we have to explain it. So can you post? Like, could I download Be Real and just post one now, or you have to get the notification?
I don't think
I
it's-
don't want it now. But
Don't
like,
think it's gone off today yet.
so you have to get the notification to post one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
right.
then you have 24 hours until the next notification. So you're meant to post within 2 minutes of the notification, but you can post late. So you can post at whatever time, but you can't see your friends unless you post your own.
Oh fuck, that's a good concept.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I always think like obviously everyone wants to create an app or something, right? I always think like when probably what was the last like you got Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook, Twitter. I'm like, there can't be another app. You know, there can't be another social media app that takes over.
Mm.
Like it just fathoms me how you can. And then someone comes up with
Well, the problem with
something
this,
like that.
and I think it's a great idea, but the problem with this is its name.
Isn't that good?
It's great, but no one's going to do it.
But if you got 2 minutes, that's the idea. That
No, but
Do
I'm
it.
saying no one's going to want to be real. Like it's conversations like this where we try and promote it, but no one's going to want to do that.
well, isn't it?
It might, it might build up, but at the start, okay, you're going to tell a 14-year-old guy, all right, Be Real or Instagram? What are they taking?
Dude, I don't know actually.
They're taking Instagram every day.
Yeah, but no one's got a gun to your head saying that you do both.
I understand that, but okay, what would you rather post on, Instagram or Be Real?
Be real.
I think
Just to
people are
piss you
starting to
off.
clue onto this whole highlight reel shit that Instagram is
Yeah.
and like want to get away from it.
Instagram's
I think that's a
definitely
great
the
point.
dominant thing. No
That's
doubt.
what I
but
mean.
This is a way to
I know,
bring
100% I get that, but I think whilst it's up against those things, it's going to be hard. But what I'm trying to say, it's going to be hard for the Be Real to become the dominant one.
Yeah, it won't be the next Instagram.
It won't be
course,
the
yeah.
next Instagram,
Yeah,
but I think it's a
course.
great idea. And what we need to try and say is, oh, this is actually a healthier alternative than Instagram.
For sure.
Yeah, it is. And then what? Can you go back and see them all? Or do they delete one?
Yeah,
to post the next one?
Wow.
your profile, the only thing on your profile is a photo of you, your name, a bio, and a calendar, and only you can see the calendar, and it shows you what you posted every day for the last month.
But could you go to my profile and see what I posted 2 weeks ago?
No.
Okay,
No,
cool.
only you can see
Can't
it.
save anything either, mate. What?
Sicko.
So what do you put up? You put a photo and a caption?
You can put a caption. I just put a photo. So I take a selfie and then a photo of what I'm doing. Post, done.
Sick.
And then sometimes I'll scroll through the others and see what my friends are doing. Sometimes I won't.
Should we do a turn up the talk one?
Yeah, but then what if we're not together? Who posts it?
There's one person who ever gets the notification. We take it each day. Except for Moretti. We won't let Moretti do it.
Go on. Yeah, let's do it.
It's a good concept.
Could be a way to, generate some interest.
Yeah.
But then do we want people, we don't really want our followers seeing us like that. Or do we?
Why? Why does it matter? Be real, mate.
Be real, mate. But yeah, but it's
Be real.
sort of, it's not real in 2000, all our followers are looking at us because we'll amp it up,
Why?
Which
If I'm in bed, I'll just take a selfie. What do you mean? That's all. Isn't that the concept?
Yeah,
Like,
but
you're doing
you're
something
going to want
that's
all
just-
our followers to see that.
Fuck me, mate. It's just like that. Who cares? So you're stuck in the Instagram world, mate.
Be real, mate.
Be real.
This is
Get
the
your
whole
head out of the
point.
gutter.
Yeah.
I'd rather do it with a group of 15 to 20 mates.
All right. Well, you can make your own one.
I think
Just
we're
forget
arguing.
that
We're
idea.
arguing over nothing. It's all
Well,
good.
I'm not even. You're the one who brought up the point.
I
Now
know, I know.
you said let's do
I
it
know.
for turn up a talk, and now
I
you're
know.
saying don't. So you're arguing against yourself.
Yeah, because what I'm trying to if we did it with Turn Up the Talk, I feel like everyone who would get on wouldn't do it properly. Whereas I feel like we should be couching it as Nate said, with your mate. So then that generates interest. You generate a conversation. Oh yeah, what are you doing? Oh yeah, I was doing this.
I've lost you.
I'm feeling good.
I've lost you. What are your goals and plans moving forward?
Dude, this is a big question.
It
I have
is.
so much going on in my life right now. It's a little bit ridiculous.
So what do you do for work? Sorry, we never actually asked.
Yeah, so
What
all
was
right.
your question?
So who am I? Nathan Moss. So basically I am pretty much running marketing for a startup company in Sydney.
Yep.
So that's my primary income. So I actually have a salary. Work a part-time job where I'm pretty much doing all of the marketing for this startup company. I was the first hire. There's like a team of 8 now, trying to grow that, which has been really fun. I'm doing a finance degree at uni, which is completely different to marketing. And I've got 1 semester left of that. I'm also doing a second degree, creative intelligence, which I'll have another year at the end of next year. Both of which have prepared me essentially to do Uncle Nathan. The creative intelligence part especially helped me to build Uncle Nathan.
Yeah.
Uncle Nathan was a portfolio I used to get this job. No resume required. They saw what I was doing with Uncle Nathan. We said, we love your passion, dedication. You've proven that you can do something. Do it for us. And then I also am working with my mentor, Matt Brown. We did a mini podcast series, and now we're building out a YouTube channel, which is also its own business, with the goal of investing capital. He's a financial advisor. So all profit generated from that business will be invested into a portfolio, and we're going to show the world how we do that. Because there was a recent finfluencer crackdown by ASIC, which means your everyday Joe Blow can't talk about financial products on the internet. So there's less resources out there now. Matt, being a financial advisor, is allowed to do that. So we're doing that. I've got the Shine sponsorship, sponsor Uncle Nathan. So I do a lot of work with Shine and get cool projects up and running.
Do you want to just tell us about that real quick?
Yeah. So Shine it's essentially an energy drink without the shit.
Yeah.
Shine is a natural nootropic energy drink. It's got the caffeine hit without the jitters that you get from coffee, without the super high sugar and crap that you get with Red Bull and V. I drink one every day basically because it keeps me alert throughout the day, but it doesn't have the come down of
The
everything
crash
else.
type thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was super lucky to get the opportunity. I just literally reached out to them on Instagram, said, "Hey, I love your drink." Early days.
Oh, so you're already drinking them before they
Yeah.
even got on board. Fuck. That's
And
awesome.
I didn't expect anything from it. And they reply and they're like, "We love your page. Let's have a chat." And it's just sort of gone from there. And now I'm really good mates with everyone at Shine, and it's turned into more of a friendship sort of thing. But yeah, so that's been awesome. The support I've got from that for Uncle Nathan has been incredible. But yeah, I guess the point of all this is there's a lot going on.
I think that's a really important thing you bring up in regards to, you said you didn't have a resume or anything, but it was just that you pretty much got hired off the project that you're doing. I work at the Studio Radio Hub where we're recording from. And when we started, I knew nothing about a podcast, right? We came in, they helped us out, and they taught us how to do it all. And I started doing the editing and everything, and I was always in here doing it all, just, again, for my own passion. And one day I got offered a job from it. So I think it's just like a good message that, obviously, for a PE teacher, you have to do a degree. You know, you can't just walk in there and kick the soccer ball at lunch and get a job. But certain things is like, obviously you have to work towards it, but if you're passionate about something and you follow it and you're determined at it, the amount of doors that can open just from that, like, there's no way you would have thought you were doing that when you started this. There's no way I thought I'd be working in a podcast studio, but if you follow your passion, good things are always going to come, no matter what they are. And then again, you turn it into, you can make some money out of it from a job. It's even better.
Bro, just have the mentality of saying yes.
Yeah.
Just
exactly
say
right.
yes and see what, like, so many doors open that you never expect.
Yeah. Have you seen
people feed off energy as well?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you would have come in here and same as you would have met them and they would have just been like, yeah,
good bloke.
Cool.
You know?
Let's go. Like, just people pick up off energy and they vibe off energy.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, something I did the other day that, like, shocked me, even though it shouldn't, that's off the back of that. When you're walking in public and you see a stranger who looks really grumpy, smile at them. Just look them dead in the eye and smile. Watch them smile back.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. Like, bro, they match your energy. It's such a real thing.
Yeah,
I did it the other day and, like, dead set got a smile back. And I was just shook because that to me is a whole perspective change. It's like, if I'm having a shit day, all I have to do is tell myself I'm having a good day, and I'll feed off my own energy to change that around, or hang out with someone who is always vibrant, always happy. Like, that's going to shift my energy. It's massive, especially when you're in a rut.
Yeah, and that's on the flip side of that too. If you're hanging around someone who's always negative, fuck me, you notice it.
Yeah.
Like, or maybe the first and second time you don't really notice, but after a while you're like, fuck, I'm really starting to become negative because this person is quite negative in their everyday life. And it's just draining. And then again, you just go back to those people who you vibe with, and you know they're always going to bring positive energy. But if people are smiling at you, it's because you always look grumpy.
Me?
Yeah, you're sitting there like this.
Please, mate. I'm the smile of this podcast.
Alrighty. Anything else?
That's great.
Awesome. All right, Nathan. We really appreciate your time, brother. We wish you all the best with everything. Let's collab, man. Let's do some stuff together. Mate, what you're doing is amazing and awesome, and wish you all the best. And speak soon, eh?
Thank you, bro. Thank you both for having me on. That was an awesome chat. I loved it. UncleNathanCo on Instagram if anyone wants to suss it out.
100%. What, are you on TikTok too, aren't you?
Yeah, UncleNathanCo
All the same?
on
All right,
everything.
across all boards for you. What is that? Fucking idiot. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share around. It helps us. Make sure you check out UncleNathanCo on Instagram and all other socials. And we'll see you next week, guys.
Don't forget to smile.